Hello there, and as usual, I'm Aaron from UncleSte Gamers, and welcome. So today I've got quite an interesting ship to show you. Now, I've designed myself a dropship to transport my small tracked exploration vehicle around. It was a big question by you guys of how you'd get it between areas, how would you get it between planets and so on, so I thought I would quickly rough up a little bit of a ship to try to transport this thing around. Now it's quite simple. As you can see, we've got some defensive armaments because that's what you need when you're traveling, especially with such an expensive little tracked vehicle inside. We've got some thrusters in this traditional sort of shape of a ship. It's very bulky though. It's got a very large underhanger where that tracked vehicle is stored. We've also got that railgun at the back to act as a little bit more of a scary defensive measure. You can see how we've curved down into that lower hangar bay and the ramp at the back. We've also got a number of cargo storages, and there's a whole variety of mods in the ship that I've added just to make things look a little bit more beautiful. We've got thrusters embedded, we've got pipes, we've all got all sorts of mechanisms. We've even got a really rusty looking reactor in this part of the ship as well. So I'll link them in the description below. But let's actually get aboard this through the many airlocks that we've got. So we've got the emergency airlock at the front of the cockpit, and we've got the traditional use airlock here as well. So we'll drop down and we'll open up this really cool sort of circular door with the window so you can see what's on the other side, and we'll repressurize this airlock. You can see we put some suits on these stands, and into this next area we can enter the lower deck as well. We can hang up our suit, take off our helmet, and enter into the cockpit. So this just acts as a little airlock and a pressurization area, especially if the lower deck is depressurized and you need to stay pressurized up here. So now we're in the command room. You can see we've got reinforced sort of glass areas with the reinforced panels that I've actually cut up to make that effect. We've got an air vent there. We've also got these really cool hangar doors that I'm using as windows, so the captain, for instance, can look down on the crew members at work below and see exactly what they're doing, and also check if there's like a saboteur in the area below in transport or something. I don't know. It could be pretty cool though. And now as we come up to the cockpit area, we've got the main sort of gunner's control seat, and we've got the actual flight command seat. So if we hop aboard this and we actually have a look at the controls, we can see with number 5 we've got the awesome sounding Gatling gun. Now that is just so cool. Look at that, how it rotates as well. Well, that is just a tasty sounding weapon. And then on number 6 we have the railgun. So for a bit more pinpoint, very accurate, very deadly fire, you could fire this thing as it recharges after each shot. So if we hop out of that and we actually fly this to a drop zone, so I think there's going to be a drop zone on the other side of this planet where we need the exploration vehicle. So we're going to power this up to speed. We've got to be very careful though, because combining a small ship inside a large ship does have some issues, even though I've attached it in one of the best ways I know possible. So I'll bring that around to the left, keep it very smooth. I just don't want to crash into the asteroid as the main part, or break anything off at this very important sort of stage as we fly around. It is quite a maneuverable ship. If that smaller ship wasn't inside, I could do all sorts of procedures and turns with it. So you've just got to be a bit more careful because that's inside. We'll slow it down. We'll bring ourselves into more of a hovering loading pattern. There's a nice clearing here so we can drop the actual track vehicle out the back here. So I'm just going to bring that down nice and slowly. Not too much unnecessary pressure. There we go. Lowering it. Beautiful. And make sure them landing gears are locked, and we can begin the next procedure of opening up all the doors. So we're going to unlock the airlock pressure. So you can see the vehicle is being revealed. There's no ramp at the front at the moment. Might add one there later. And the ramp at the back is in place, so we're going to activate the ramp, and then we're going to increase the speed and lower it down. So we can actually increase this quite considerably if we want to. You see that's going to start to flip down and then fold into position, and we're going to hit number 4 to relock it when it actually hits the ground at the angle that we want to. So 3, 2, 1, and that's probably about perfect. You see there's a little bit of a drop, but since this vehicle is capable of climbing over them surfaces, I'm hoping it's not going to interfere, because this is the first time I've actually tested it, so we'll have to see how it works. So we'll exit the cockpit into the airlock, and then we'll go downstairs and I'll show you how we've locked this thing in place. And now we enter the staircase of doom down to the lower level. We've got a nice LSG symbol there. And now we're down here. You can see we've opened up this area to the outside. The ramp has been lowered and the ship is in place. Now it's held in place by 2 sorts of locking systems, both landing gears and merge blocks underneath, so it's as secure as possible. So the first thing we're going to do is disengage them landing gears, and then we'll disengage the lower area and we'll try to drive this out. So we're going to take a look to the left, and we can actually see we're on this wrong tab. So first thing first is reverse the actual rotors. We're going to disengage the locks, and then we're going to add some power, so they're going to roll to the side, disengage the power, So they're actually out the way now and unlocked. Now the second thing we want to do is enable the gravity cubes in the vehicle. So that's enabled the gravity cubes. Now the final task is switching to camera number 7 and making sure we disengage these correctly. So we're going to activate the merge block. Merge block's disengaged, and we're going to lower our pistons. So the locking mechanism now is completely engaged, and we should be able to drive this off if nothing goes wrong. So let's go down to the lower area, hop aboard and see what happens. So with all the clamps disengaged, you can see we've got the gravity cubes back on. We've also got side doors, so we can load more varieties of different cargo from different directions if this was in a much larger port. I've made it so the engine bay is clear quite high as well, so you can easily ramp up and into this thing. Maybe you could even fit 4 or 5 smaller vehicles for different sorts of exploration sort of duties in the back here as well. Got a little bit of an airlock door as well. So let's just drop into here. I've popped the door off for ease of access, and we're going to drive this thing straight off. Fingers crossed now everything goes well. Wheels are activated. I'm going to go straight. Now it looks like a tight fit, but I assure you it does work, and we can get through this gap without too much problem. So there we go. Off onto the lower ramp. Once we're down onto the lower ramp, all we have to do is hit the accelerator a little bit harder, and we should roll down into the next area and actually onto the planet's surface. So that's what all the suspension's about, and it doesn't look like we've actually suffered too much damage, so we could continue on our adventure and even try to get back up into that thing. I don't think we're going to be able to make it back up into that ship until I've added the advanced sort of door that I'm going to try to do on the back. But for the moment, this was a little bit of the idea and the concept. And for you that want this on the workshop, once I finish that back door on the ship, it'll be straight up there so you guys can actually have a play around with it. I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.